Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I want to talk about all the information that was released by the Stormworks developers in the latest bulletin that hit Steam last Friday. They mentioned some information about the update and how the gases will work and all that stuff. So the biggest thing I'm excited for is moon pools. They said there's finally going to be working moon pools. If you could see behind my little avatar here, my little character, there's a moon pool in this ship. And it just sort of opens up into the water and it's open to the air, so it's pretty much a hole in the ship. But in theory, if a room were around us, we could actually pressurize that room and make this water stay at the bottom there instead of having it come up to where the rest of the water level is. So let us discuss that in detail. So here is this update. They said new game systems in space, and they mentioned compressed gases and liquids. So as previously discussed, compressed gases are coming to Stormworks with significant rework to the fluid system. This has a big impact for space, but also deep sea where high pressure and displacement will work slightly differently. Then it goes on to say gases in the new version are able to enter and occupy compartments, and those gases are compressible. When liquids and gases enter or leave a compartment, they are treated as mixed evenly rather than layered by height for the sake of usability by players, so that the behavior is consistent and easy to understand what's going on. So in this example here, we have ourselves a port, and what you get is this green is a combined, let's say, air and exhaust. I won't know what exactly they're going to put, what other new gases they're going to add, but let's in this case say that it's 50-50, 50% air and 50% exhaust. This port will be able to extract or suck out both air and exhaust. It will not be layered in a case like this where you now have two different weights, for example. And in real life, there may be different fluids that weigh more. Even gases can have different weights, so it wouldn't settle to the bottom of the room like this. It's going to be mixed evenly. The last thing that they add is that this is to prevent creations from breaking, as this is the current system that it uses. Like if you know now, you can extract or have your port intaking diesel, even if diesel is at the bottom physically, it's still going to extract it out of a port located at the top. Visually it looks like this. So this is my diesel tank in my ship, and here are all the ports that go into the engine, and they're located at the top. Now normally it would be at the bottom of a valley like this, so you make sure all the diesel gets extracted or pumped out, but in this case you can have them in any location and it'll still extract it. So the new update is going to continue to do the same, which is actually very good. But here's where it gets interesting. It says, however, when it comes to doors, it is easier to understand where the water levels are relative to the door and is visually explained, so our system is a little more in-depth. As in the current system, doors will only allow water through when the level of the water is above the bottom of the door, which makes sense. With new gases, gas can also spill through, then the water level is below the top of the door. I think this meant to say when the water level is below the top of the door. So this is actually quite exciting. What it's saying is that in this case, where your water level here is less than the door, this gas can still escape into the next area, okay? But in the case where this water level fills up past the door, like this gas is now trapped. So what you get here is gas that can no longer escape. So in theory now, it'll probably prevent more water from coming in, or this gas will start to compress. So probably the latter, it'll start to compress up until a certain point, but you also may be able to pump in air into this chamber and actually push this water level back down. This brings us to moon pools. So now it says moon pools will mechanically work and gas will not escape once water covers the door. Don't forget the gas is compressible, so water can still rise and compress the gas. It is just that the gas will not escape. So you can pump more gas in to increase the pressure and push the water level back down. So this actually may be my favorite update yet, because now this type of thing is going to be very much possible. So in this case, see this moon pool we have here, this massive chamber? you have our submarine, because this bottom is fully open to the water. Like, this is kind of all open and you just have a hole. Now obviously this wouldn't work. You'd have to have the kind of door boundaries, those door frame edging pieces. But if you had door frame edge piecing, or door frame edges, you would now have air in this chamber, and it would not be, well, now it would come out because you have a open door. So you'd have to probably have an airlock system and pumps that can keep this area pressurized and push this water all the way down to the bottom. Now, can pressure hurt our character? I don't know. There must be a level that can, but in the case of just having something like this, you would be able to actually have this fully. The water level would be at the bottom of this, and this would just have an increased pressure. You'd have to go through a little airlock, not just like this, because now if you open this, the air would depressurize into the rest of the ship, but an airlock would prevent that, and you can have a functioning moon pool. So I'm super excited for that, because I actually love how moon pools work. I love the idea behind them and how they can sort of facilitate the deployment of all kinds of craft. Just to explain that visually, you would have your door at the bottom of the moon pool like this, and this is all water. And now if you pump air into this level can actually decrease until it could be maybe at the edge like that. So you can pump more gas to increase the pressure to push the water level back down. Now they did mention that the water can still rise and compress the gas. So with that in mind, we have to bear in mind that what kind level of pressure is needed in this chamber to make it useful for our character and not have them get injured. It then says the opposite is also true. If you open a door in the top of a compartment, this will allow your compressed gas to escape, reducing the pressure and allowing water to come in, which makes sense. Now for submarines, that would mean you could open a valve or a door between a compressed air container and a ballast tank with opening at the bottom. This would rapidly increase pressure, pushing water out and displacing it with compressed gas. So you can have your compressed gas tank and allow it to fill a ballast tank, and it would push all the water out, which is exactly how real submarines work. All my mini subs currently have a system where the water will stay within the system. So in this ballast tank, you actually fill it up with water once, and it stays within the chamber of the mini sub. Meaning you fill up, let's say, 1,000 liters into the ballast tank, and when you want to use this airlock chamber and get into the water when you're underwater, you actually fill this chamber up with the ballast 1,000 liters. So they are no longer in here, they're now in here. So you've not added or removed anything from your system. You've in essence filled your ballast tanks with air and the airlock chamber with water. But now we don't need to do that. We can now have a little tank, maybe on the side of the mini sub, like how they have in real life, or little vessels, little gas tanks that now can pump in the pressurized air and push water out of the ballast tank system, and likewise from the airlock system as well. So it adds a whole new element to the game, one that I'm extremely looking forward to playing around with, especially in the case of OMA and the underwater exploration side of things. The last thing that's said is, where there is a pressure difference through a door, gas or liquid will get pulled through. Physics objects, including characters, will be affected by this and dragged out by the pressure. At high altitude or space, a rapid decompression event can suck you and other physics objects out of the door. So just like an airplane breaking up in midair, you can get sucked out because of the pressure. Same thing in space, same thing with the mini subs. So that's going to be interesting to sort of see how that gets worked around, but I think it'll add a whole new element to the game. And I will give you guys a little teaser now. This ship is almost ready. Now this is the Alta version of the vessel, and it's going to be meant for transporting all sorts of things in this massive reservoir. So it's a transport ship. But there will be an OMA version, and multiple OMA versions actually, and I will reveal them to you now. There's at least 2 OMA versions planned. One will be a moonpool ship, so this whole area will be a big superstructure. Maybe not as tall as the main superstructure, but probably double the height of this. And in here will be a massive chamber that will be used as a moonpool. Okay, that's one version, and the other version all I'm going to say is that it is going to be able to clean oil. I don't want to give any more information than that because I have some wild ideas, but it will be able to clean oil. Now this is the most plain Jane of the versions because it's just a simple transport vessel, but it still is highly advanced, as all of my ships are, so stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, stay tuned for this update because it's going to bring all sorts of cool new things, it seems, to the game. So I can't wait to see what everyone does with it. I can't wait to see what I do with it, and I'll for sure make videos testing it out and making a moon pool in this ship, a functional, mechanically functional moon pool. That makes me so excited because now not only do you get moon pools, you can actually make a functional diving bell, because now you no longer need to have this intermediate chamber that's full of water. You can actually just have a pump that's attached to the surface here, pumping water into here, and all you'd need then is half the size, because this whole thing gets redundant. Your water would just be right out this point, and it would be flooding this area. You could still have that bottom area, but you could in essence just have it like this. So I want to see how I can probably update the diving bell to make it a little more useful. I definitely think the weight of the lowering of the weight, because all this area will not be flooded, so it won't have water that's held in here, will actually make the system that much better. So we'll see how that works, and I'll report to you for sure. So with that in mind, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and content and creations and all that good stuff, and as always, happy Stormworksing.